Have you heard the news? President Trump signed an executive order to accelerate the research and usage of psychedelics who have problems with depression, PTSD, and other things. And I feel this is so huge. I've been talking about this with my friends and my clients who are therapists. I just want to come live to share a few things with you. Thank you for everybody who's joining me live. I was going to watch this on replay. This is totally impromptu live. I was just having conversation with my clients. I'm like, I have to go live to talk about this as well, because we about to witness a huge shift in human consciousness of what this could mean for American and just world overall. And he signed this on Saturday morning. We had a new moon in Aries and like 9 planets in Aries, and every astrologer was talking about how huge that was, that something's going to be happening in the world. And we're right now, if you're into human design, 2027 going to be kind of like a line drawn in the sand of people who's going to be going through awakening and healing and coming into their own power, versus people who's going to go into quote unquote black hole, who's not going to choose this path. We're about to be having a huge split in humanity, in our consciousness, between people being in the different camps. And of course, the camp that I'm on. And I just want to talk to you today about what does it mean. And for all of you who's already on an awakening journey, and for all of you who are also healers and coaches and therapists, that this could be so huge for the mental health industry and the roles that we can all play in all of this. So just for anybody who's new to my world, I had my spiritual awakening exactly 11 years ago. It was April 2015. And I remember when I was going through, and my spiritual awakening was not because something bad happened in my life, because for a lot of people, awakening happens because they had a catalyst event, a loss of a loved one, loss of a job, a divorce, infidelity, health crisis, an incident. Something happens into them, that something cracks from inside out and they awaken. I had a different journey. I've awakened through coming into contact with a spiritual teacher, and just because I was so ripe for many years, and I know why now, but for many years I was searching and I was really ready for spiritual awakening. When I went through it, I wanted everybody to awake. I just thought that I'm gonna have this magic button that I can press on people and awake them. And of course it doesn't happen like that. Now, being mature in my journey, I know that spiritual awakening comes by grace. It comes because when somebody's ready. And unfortunately, we cannot press a button on someone for them to be awakened. And I try to do that. I really try. And when I was sharing my experiences of an awakening, what actually was happening with people who was listening to me is that they didn't trust me, they didn't believe me. And I think they also interpreted in such a way that I'm someone special, I'm someone chosen, and they're not. And of course the ego comes in, and when the ego is afraid of something that it doesn't know, it starts attacking. So a lot of people were attacking me, not believing me, not trusting me, and it continued. I lost so many friends. I don't even want to go there, but people were not really receptive of me sharing, because I wanted to share that it could be such a blissful experience, this awakening, and I really wanted to help people go through that experience. But of course, I know now that I cannot awaken people. But with this, what's going to be happening with psychedelics? Because now it's not just you go to some, remote places in Peru or Mexico and have these experiences. It's now going to be legit. That's now the doctors can administer that. And of course, there is a lot of caveats to it, because knowing what can be happening with people, because I now help people through being a coach, and because I'm so integrated in my experience, my human experience, but also having this vertical connection to my source, to the source overall, and to my higher self, I can really help people go through this experience. Because awakening, it's not just you have this vision or you have this grandiose experience when you're on psychedelics. The most important part after awakening is clearing and growing up. It's clearing all the negativity and growing up, expanding your identity, expanding your capacity, expanding and knowing who you really are. Because people can go through psychedelic experience, and that's what's going to be happening with a lot of people now. Once they're going to go through research and trials, of course, and of course it's going to be controlled, because only the doctors will be administering that. Like, it's going to be controlled. But now what it means is that more and more people are going to get access to the divine self, to that experience of awakening through psychedelics. And when you have this experience of awakening, of course, then you have to go through healing process. And this is where a lot of us coaches and therapists will come in to help people integrate, because you can have a psychedelic experience, but you can still be emotionally immature. You can still be having traumas. You can still have your sexual energy be unintegrated. You can still be living in dogmas and opinions, like all of that ego that's very strong for a lot of us will need to, go on a back burner. And it takes work to integrate the ego, because the ego is very tricky, especially for people that go through awakening. It comes up with some sort of stories, and it doesn't want you to, it becomes inflated. Also, you can have a spiritual ego as well. So very much important after having awakening, having integration and having the healing. So for a lot of us who were, for example, me, I left my corporate career years ago without really knowing how exactly. I was just following the breadcrumbs. I was just following my soul. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to be? And of course, I created programs. I've helped people, women on this journey who already awakened. Because again, I don't want to say that we have the power to awaken other people. And for many years, I couldn't even hold this identity of being a spiritual authority of sorts, that I have what it takes to be a spiritual teacher. Because I think a lot of us, we see spiritual teachers being people from the East, those yogis, the meditators, and many men usually, right? You have these spiritual gurus who are so connected to source, so connected through meditations, so connected to that transcendent experience. But I am bringing awakening through a very different lens, because awakening, just going vertical, is one step, right? And a lot of those people who are sitting on the top of the mountains meditating, they have connection vertically. But the most important thing right now in the modern world is to also have an awakening horizontally. When you're able to continue living in your human experience as a mother, as a wife, as a business owner, as a creative, as an artist, as a coach, as so many roles, right? Playing those roles and being so aware of yourself, of the patterns of how you live through life and how you help others. Because ultimately this journey, I know it was for me, it was not just for me to go through awakening and have these blissful experience and just not be only on social media. I probably would prefer that, but I know my soul wants me to share and continue being online and helping other people. And I remember when I had my first human design reading, and I don't know if any of you are into human design, but when I first had my spiritual awakening and a human design reading, and I'm a sacral generator 1-3, and the guy who was doing my reading, he said, you're gonna make an extraordinary teacher, a way shower, a coach, not just because you're line 1, which means I'm an investigator and I'm gonna continue learning through all my life. I'm in my mid-40s right now, getting my second master's. I'm gonna always continue learning. But also what makes me very special in helping other people is because of my line 3, that I'm always going to go through trials and errors. I'm always going to be going through my own embodiment. I'm going to take the knowledge, I'm going to take the theory, but I'm also going to implement and integrate it into human experience, especially for women like me, living in New York, a mother, a wife, all of the things, right? I love that part of me, right? And integrating those parts of me into experience in day-to-day life is what made me create a very special methodology, a framework called Awake Method, where I go through 5 phases. So the first phase, and I want to share this with you because if you are on an awakening journey and you want to integrate more of who you really are and stop this healing loop, because a lot of people in the coaching industry and spiritual communities, they share not complete information. That's why a lot of people get stuck in the healing loops. And if you've been following me, last year and on 999, which was September 9, 2026, which stood for 3 9s, I felt like I completed the circle. I completed the 10 years of me. And of course, you grow, you heal, and you continue sharing. So the journey continues, right? On a spiral. But I feel like I've completed my healing era, because I stepped into this full embodiment, and it followed by me living in Italy for a couple of months and integrating and just enjoying, because the part of the awakening and going through this whole journey, at the end of the day, you realize that this journey is so profound and so beautiful when you also make it to be, when you walk through life, what I call a beauty way, where you have the most extraordinary love affair with life, with yourself, with your divine self, with God, with source. That's the only thing I concentrate right now. That's the only thing, like my mission is that this is what I do 24/7. This is where I live it. I love it so much that I want to share with more and more people. And this method that I created that called Awake Method, which takes you through 5 steps. It's not really steps. It's like phases that could take a week or a year or a decade, depending on your own journey. And I would never ever say that my way is the right way. Any teacher who would say that need a lot of healing because what I can only do is share my framework and create a field in which you can get connected with yourself, create a sacred pause for you through my teachings, through my vibration, through my frequency, through my voice, through my everything that I am, for you to access yourself. Because at the end of the day, your only authority is your own higher self. So I want to invite you to, if you're interested, to join my program that's called Awakened Woman. And in that program, I share my method that's called Awake. And those 5 phases that I want to share with you stands for: A is awakening, which of course will happen with you through whatever life will bring for you, right? Whatever catalyst event will happen to you. Or perhaps maybe in the future, it's going to be a psychedelic experience, because that's the only thing that can help people go through awakening, which is that something externally that you put inside yourself. Everything else, awakening happens by grace, right? But the second most important thing is becoming whole. And this is what the W stands for, right? It's becoming whole. It's integrating all parts of you, your human and your divine, your masculine and your feminine, all the 7 archetypes of the feminine archetypes within you, your inner child, your goddess self. There's so many parts of us. And when we integrate and become whole and bring in these fragments that we left in other people, in other places, in relationship, in careers, when we make ourselves whole, it's an extraordinary experience. It's so empowering. When people ask me, how you're so confident, how did you live the corporate, how did you do all of that? It's because I integrated myself back to myself, okay? Then the third phase is A, stands for alchemy. And this is the alchemy on all levels: mind, emotions, body. It's connecting to all those parts of you. And this is huge. It's transforming your shadows to light, your pain to power, your wounds to wisdom. It's an integration. And when you do that, I cannot even explain what you're gonna feel about yourself, your relationship with yourself will change, your relationship to life will change. This work is priceless, okay? Letter K, the 4th phase stands for keys. There's so many keys I've discovered to this door. There's the keys to all doors. That's what it is. It's because when I went on this journey and I traveled all over the world, all the sacred sites, connecting to all parts of me: Egypt, Bali, Peru, Mount Shasta, Stonehenge, all over Europe, all over America, Mexico. Like, I've collected these puzzles, like bringing them together. And there's so many keys. And for women, one of the most important keys is around our sexuality. There's so much power resides in our womb. And when a woman learns how to not leak her sexual energy and how to integrate that energy back into herself, knowing how to use that energy for creativity. It's your life force. Your sexual energy equals your spiritual energy. It's your life force. And when you know how to integrate it back into your body, you start being so empowered. You're going to start having so many creative ideas. You're going to reverse aging. My biological age right now is 20 years younger than my chronological age. That's what my latest blood panel showed. 20 years reverse back. And they measure it based on your telomeres on top of your DNA. They shrink when you age, and they expand when you reverse aging. And of course, there's other components about it, the inflammation, about your cellular structure, like all of those things they measure. And my biological age right now is 20 years younger because I figure out what ages women, and what ages women is all the stuck emotions and processed stuff that we're carrying in our fascia, in our organs, in our heart, in our womb. It's closing out those leaks and integrating those energies. Those energies were not processed in your life. They look like a frozen light all over your aura. And when you integrate that into you, you start having energy flowing through you, and you start feeling amazing. You just start feeling amazing about life, about you, and how you want to share yourself with other people, and just this intimate relationship with life itself and with God itself. And then the letter E stands for embodiment, because there's no point of doing any of that work or getting all the information if you don't transform it, and knowledge becomes wisdom in your body, and you live the life in a very different way. You walk through life in a different way. People notice you, they turn around, people want to be within you, people invite you to podcasts, like opportunities comes up, like there's so many things open up for you when you embody it in your truth. So that's my awake method that I want to share with you. And the reason why I started talking about why I'm so excited about psychedelics being, researched and integrated, because we are right now living through a mental health crisis in America. There are so many people are sick, and when you give them a pill for depression, they don't really work. They get you hooked on it for 10, 20 years, and you can get off of that. And psychedelics can really help people with addiction, with depression, with PTSDs, with traumas in few sessions. And of course, the therapist and the coaches who will come in after and help people integrate that. For all of my healers, coaches, for all of you who is my space, our time is about to come even more. And I'm not talking about business coaches, because business coaches are all about the money, all that. I mean, it's great, but we need real healers. We need people who really here to help humanity ascend. Because right now, in the next few years, it's going to be extremely important on what side of the line on the sand we're going to be at, what track you're going to go to. And people who are suffering right now so much, because we all have light and dark. Like we all have our angelic self and our human self, our ego, our darkness. But for the most part, the 2/3 is dark and 1/3 is light. And you got to, at a minimum, flip that you're more light. Because if you're more dark within you, you start attracting entities to attach to you, right? That's where the addictions come in, right? In the morning, you're like, my God, what did I drink? And at night, you're drinking because you have this inner critic, this voice, this demon that you made this relationship with that comes in and tells you things. And when you have a psychedelic experience, people can get healed from that. They can meet their divine self. They can meet that angelic self that within them. And they can get so empowered that this voice that comes in and trying to derail them into addiction, into depression, into procrastination, into self-loathing, into all of that, you can start having a very different discussion with that voice, that inner voice that becomes like an inner voice, but it's something outside of you that just got latched to you, attached to you like an entity, okay? So I feel like with psychedelics, a lot of people are gonna get healing from that. I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited about what we're about to witness. A huge shift in human consciousness, huge shift in mental health industry. People are finally healing and coming into the power, and I'm here for it. I've spent so many lifetimes on this suffering planet, and my soul came back as a volunteer to help with this. And I know you as well. If you're listening to this, especially if you're here live with me, or you're gonna listen to this on replay and you still till the end of this discussion of my rant, I want to thank you for being in my space. I want to thank you if you made a commitment, a devotion to source and to you, to know yourself, to heal yourself, to liberate yourself, to grow up, to expand, and to share your voice, your frequency, your light with other people. You're so needed right now. Wake up, heal, and if you need help, join my program, Awakened Woman, 5 phases to go through Awake Method. You're gonna be a completely different woman on the other end, and you don't even know yet why you're here and what your mission is. But through being in my field, being in my space, you may get some answers. So I'm excited for you, for everybody who's going to join. And if you're just in my space listening to me on social media, I want to thank you. I want to thank you being part of it, because it's not easy to go through your own journey and then being online and sharing these things, when it's so much easier to just be and just enjoy your life, because you got so many answers and you could just really step back and enjoy. But I know for all of us who are real true teachers, we're here to help other people, and this is what I'm here for. And I want to thank you to being in my space, to supporting me, to liking, to sharing, to it means a lot. I just want to say it means a lot, and I'm here to really help people live the best lives. To how many years we have left on this planet, which is not a lot, because we're gonna go to a different earth very, very soon. And you're going with me, okay? You're going with me. I'm not gonna leave you behind. I'm here for my soul family, okay? So I have contracts with some people, and I'm here for you, okay? Thank you.